Her friends mocked her for the color of her skin, laughing as their racism pushed her away. But instead of breaking, she did something so powerful, it silenced them and inspired an entire community. This story will leave you speechless. The afternoon sun beat down on the small park where Maya and her friends often gathered after school. Laughter echoed across the playground, but for Maya, it felt hollow. She clutched her backpack straps tightly, her knuckles whitening with every word they said. "Why do you always wear your hair like that?" sneered Lily, flipping her silky blonde locks over her shoulder. The other girls giggled, their laughter sharp and biting. Maya's cheeks burned as she instinctively reached up to touch her braids. They were tight and neat, just as her grandmother had lovingly done them the night before. But now, they felt like a mark of shame under the weight of her friends' stares. I like it this way," Maya mumbled, her voice barely audible. "You would," Lily shot back. "It's just different, you know?" "Yeah," chimed in another girl, "and not in a good way." The words hit Maya like daggers, but she stayed quiet. Her mother had always taught her to rise above pettiness, but in that moment, she wished she could disappear. She glanced down at her skin, her rich brown tone, that her family had always called beautiful. For the first time, she wasn't so sure. This wasn't the first time Maya had felt like she didn't belong. Over the past few months, her so-called friends had become colder, their comments sharper. It started small, snide remarks about her hair or the way her family spoke. But recently it had escalated. Just last week, Maya had invited them to her house for a sleepover. She'd spent hours preparing snacks and decorating her room, excited to share a piece of her world with them. But as soon as they walked in, the judgment began. "Wow, your house is cozy," Lily had said, her nose wrinkling at the small but tidy living room. "And it smells different." The others had whispered behind her back all night, giggling when they thought she wasn't listening. By the time they left, Maya had felt drained, like she had to apologize for every piece of herself. Now, standing in the park with their laughter ringing in her ears, something inside Maya snapped. "You know what?" she said, her voice stronger than she expected. "I don't need this." The girls stopped laughing, turning to her with raised eyebrows. "What are you talking about?" Lily asked, smirking. "I'm talking about the way you treat me," Maya said, her words trembling but firm. "You call yourselves my friends, but all you do is tear me down. And for what? Because I'm not like you. Because I don't look like you." The air grew thick with tension as the other girls exchanged uncomfortable glances. "That's not true," one of them muttered. "Isn't it?" Maya shot back, tears welling in her eyes. "You've made me feel like I'm not good enough, like I have to apologize for who I am. But I'm done. I'm done trying to fit into your world, when I know there's nothing wrong with mine." She turned on her heel and walked away, her heart pounding in her chest. She didn't know where she was going, but she knew she couldn't stay. At home, Maya collapsed onto her bed, letting the tears flow freely. Her grandmother knocked softly on the door before stepping in, her warm eyes filled with concern. "Baby, what's wrong?" she asked, sitting beside Maya and pulling her into a comforting hug. Maya hesitated, her words tumbling out in a rush. "They don't like me, Grandma. They don't like my hair, my skin, my family. They don't like me because I'm different." Her grandmother's face tightened, and she gently lifted Maya's chin. "Listen to me, Maya. Those girls, they don't define you. Their small minds can't see the beauty in your big, bright spirit. You are special, baby. And one day the world is going to see it too." Maya nodded, though she wasn't sure she believed it. But her grandmother's words planted a tiny seed of hope in her heart. A hope that maybe, just maybe, she could rise above the hurt and find her strength again. As Maya wiped her tears and looked into her grandmother's wise eyes, a spark began to flicker within her, a spark that would soon ignite into something far greater than she could have imagined. The next morning, Maya woke up feeling heavy but determined. Her grandmother's words echoed in her mind, and while the hurt from her friend still lingered, there was something else, an ember of resilience starting to grow. As she sat at her small desk by the window, Maya stared at a blank piece of paper. Her favorite notebook lay open, its pages usually filled with doodles and half-written stories. Today, it was different. She picked up her pencil and started to sketch. At first, it was just a face, a girl with bold braids, strong features, and proud eyes. But as the pencil moved, she added more details. A crown atop her head, swirling patterns in her hair, and bright beams of light radiating from her like the sun. The drawing seemed to speak to her, its message clear. This is who you are. Maya sat back, staring at the girl on the page. Something about her felt powerful, like she was more than just a sketch. That night, after finishing her homework, Maya found herself flipping through her favorite books about black heroes and trailblazers. She read about women like Maya Angelou, Ruby Bridges, and Rosa Parks, women who had faced racism head-on and refused to let it define them. Their stories lit a fire inside her. These women had endured so much more than mean comments or rejection, yet they had changed the world. Maya realized that if they could overcome, so could she. "I can't let them win," she whispered to herself. The following week, Maya threw herself into a project that would become her outlet for healing, and eventually, her triumph. Inspired by her drawings, she decided to create something that celebrated the beauty of blackness. She gathered supplies, poster boards, markers, paints, and her notebook filled with sketches. She worked late into the night, pouring her emotions into every brushstroke and line. It wasn't just about art. It was about reclaiming her identity and showing the world her pride. Her grandmother would peek into her room every now and then, smiling at the determination on Maya's face. "You've got something big in you, baby," she said one night. "Don't be afraid to let it shine." Maya's school was hosting its annual Cultural Celebration Week in a few days, an event where students could showcase their heritage, talents, and passions. For years, Maya had watched from the sidelines, too shy to participate. But this year, things would be different. On the day of the event, Maya walked into the school gym, carrying her poster boards and a folded sheet in her arms. She set up a small booth near the back, arranging her artwork on the table and pinning her drawings to the wall. Finally, she placed her centerpiece, a large poster she had spent days perfecting, in the middle of the display. The poster showed a black girl, standing tall and proud, her hair braided like a crown. Around her were the words, "My skin, my strength, my story." Maya's heart raced as students began to file into the gym. She overheard whispers and caught a few glances from the girls who had once been her friends. Lily smirked, nudging one of the others. "Is that Maya's booth?" she asked, loud enough for Maya to hear. This should be good. But Maya held her head high. She wasn't going to let them shake her. As the event went on, more and more students stopped by Maya's booth. Some complimented her artwork, while others asked questions about what had inspired her. One teacher, Mrs. Jenkins, lingered at the display, her eyes wide with admiration. "Maya, this is incredible," she said. "You've captured something so powerful here. Have you thought about entering this in the school art showcase next month?" Maya blinked in surprise. "Really? You think it's good enough?" Mrs. Jenkins nodded. "It's not just good. It's important. Your message is something everyone needs to hear." By the end of the day, Maya's booth was one of the most visited at the event. Even the principal stopped by, taking pictures and asking if he could share her work on the school's social media. As Maya packed up her things, she noticed Lily and the other girls approaching. Her stomach tightened, but she forced herself to stay calm. "That was actually pretty cool," Lily said, her tone reluctant. "I didn't know you could do stuff like that." "Yeah," added another girl. "It was really inspiring." Maya looked at them, her expression unreadable. For a moment she wondered if they meant it, or if it was just another act. "Thanks," she said simply, her voice steady. "But I didn't make it for you." With that, she turned and walked away, her heart pounding with a mix of pride and freedom. As Maya stepped out of the gym and into the crisp evening air, she couldn't help but smile. She had found her voice, and this was only the beginning. Little did she know, her artwork would soon reach far beyond the walls of her school, sparking a movement she never imagined possible. The day after the cultural celebration, Maya walked into school with a new sense of confidence. The usual whispers in the hallway didn't faze her, and the snide glances from Lily and her friends felt like nothing more than background noise. But something was different this time. Instead of looking away, other students smiled at her. A few even stopped to say, "Hey, your booth yesterday was amazing," or "I really loved your art." Maya was taken aback by the support, but deep down she felt something shift. By lunchtime, word of her display had spread even further. Maya was scrolling through her phone in the cafeteria when she saw a post from the school's social media page. There it was, her poster, bold and proud, with the caption, "A powerful message from one of our own students. Let's celebrate diversity and stand against hate." Her heart skipped a beat as she read the comments. "This is amazing. So proud of you, Maya. We need more messages like this." For the first time, Maya felt like her voice mattered, not just to her, but to others too. The attention didn't stop there. Later that week, Maya received an unexpected email from her principal. He had been so moved by her work that he forwarded it to the district's Diversity and Inclusion Committee. "Maya," the email read, "we would like to feature your artwork at the district-wide cultural showcase next month. We believe your message is one that deserves to be seen by as many people as possible. Please let us know if you'd like to participate." Maya's jaw dropped as she reread the email. This wasn't just about her school anymore. This was a chance to share her story with hundreds of people. At home that evening, Maya shared the news with her grandmother. The older woman's eyes sparkled with pride as she held Maya's hand. "I told you, baby," her grandmother said with a smile. "You've got something big inside you. This is just the beginning." "But what if they don't like it?" Maya asked, her voice hesitant. "What if people think I'm just complaining or trying to make a big deal out of nothing?" Her grandmother shook her head. "Maya, you're not making a big deal out of nothing. You're standing up for what's right. And if someone doesn't like it, that says more about them than it does about you." Maya nodded, her grandmother's words sinking in. She knew this wasn't just about her anymore. It was about everyone who had ever been made to feel less than because of who they were. As Maya prepared for the district showcase, she couldn't ignore the shift in how Lily and her friends treated her. The girls who once laughed at her were suddenly quiet in her presence. One afternoon, as Maya walked past them in the hallway, Lily called out, "Maya, wait." She hesitated but turned around. "Listen," Lily began, her voice unusually soft. I wanted to say sorry for how we treated you. We were wrong, and your artwork really made me think about things." Maya studied Lily's face, searching for sincerity. She wanted to believe the apology was real, but she couldn't forget the pain they had caused. "Thank you," Maya said finally. "But it's going to take more than words to fix what you did." Lily nodded, her cheeks flushing with embarrassment. "I understand." Maya walked away, her head held high. For the first time, she felt like she was in control, not them. The day of the district cultural showcase arrived, and Maya was a bundle of nerves. The auditorium was packed with students, teachers and parents from schools all over the district. Her artwork was displayed front and center, and as she stood by her booth, people stopped to admire it. One woman, a teacher from another school, said, "Your work is incredible. Have you thought about doing this professionally? I know a few people who'd love to see your art." Maya's cheeks flushed. "Thank you," she said, her voice shaky but grateful. As the event went on, Maya was asked to speak about her inspiration. She stood on the stage, looking out at the crowd, her hands trembling slightly. "I made this artwork because I wanted to show that being different isn't something to be ashamed of," she began. "For a long time, I felt like I wasn't good enough because of my skin, my hair, my culture. But I've learned that our differences are what make us beautiful, and no one should ever make you feel small because of who you are." The audience erupted into applause, and Maya felt a wave of emotion wash over her. As Maya stepped off the stage, she noticed someone recording her speech. Little did she know, the video would soon go viral, spreading her message far beyond the district, and sparking a movement that would change her life forever. A few days after the district showcase, Maya was sitting in her room, finishing up a new sketch, when her phone buzzed relentlessly on her desk. She picked it up to find a flood of notifications. Confused, she opened one message from a classmate. "Maya, you're everywhere. Check this out." The link led to a social media post, a video of Maya's speech at the showcase. The caption read, "This young black girl faced racism from her own friends, but her courage and message of self-love are inspiring people everywhere. Watch her story." Maya stared in shock, as she realized the video had thousands of likes and shares. Comments poured in from strangers. This gave me chills. You're amazing, Maya. As a black girl, I felt every word of this. Thank you for standing up for all of us. We need more voices like hers. Maya's heart pounded as she read each message. Her story, her pain, her resilience was now resonating with people far beyond her small town. The following week, Maya's life began to change. Local news outlets picked up the video, calling her a voice for change. Soon after, national outlets started reaching out. She received an email from a popular daytime talk show. Maya, we were deeply moved by your story and your message. We would love to have you as a guest on our show to share your journey and inspire our viewers. Please let us know if you're interested. Maya couldn't believe it. She ran downstairs, phone in hand, to share the news with her grandmother. They want me on TV, she said, her voice trembling with excitement and nerves. Her grandmother grinned. Of course they do. You've got something special, Maya. The world is finally seeing what I've always known. As Maya prepared for her big interview, doubts began to creep in. What if people thought she wasn't good enough? What if they saw her as just a kid who got lucky? One night, while practicing her talking points, she remembered the betrayal of her friends. The sting of their laughter and cruel words still lingered. But now, instead of bringing her down, it fueled her. This isn't about them anymore, Maya whispered to herself. This is about me, and everyone who's ever felt like I did. With her grandmother's encouragement, Maya walked into the TV studio with her head held high. The host, a warm and charismatic woman, greeted Maya with a big smile. Maya, thank you for being here, the host began. Your story has touched so many people. Can you tell us how it all started? Maya took a deep breath and shared her journey, from the rejection by her friends to the cultural celebration and the viral video. She spoke about the pain of racism, but focused on the strength she found in embracing her identity. What do you hope people take away from your story? The host asked. Maya's voice grew stronger. I hope people realize that our differences are what make us beautiful. And I hope anyone who's ever felt rejected or less than knows they're not alone, and that they have the power to rise above it. The audience erupted into applause, some standing as tears filled their eyes. After the interview aired, Maya's story spread like wildfire. People from all walks of life reached out to her, sharing their own experiences with racism and rejection. Inspired by her message, students across the country began organizing their own cultural celebrations and creating art that celebrated diversity. Maya's inbox was flooded with messages. Your story gave me the courage to speak out at my school. Thank you for showing me that I don't have to hide who I am. You've inspired my daughter to love her natural hair. One message in particular stood out. It was from Lily. Maya, I saw your interview. I don't even know what to say. I'm sorry for everything I did. Seeing what you've accomplished made me realize how wrong I was. I hope someday you can forgive me. Maya stared at the message, her emotions swirling. She wasn't sure how to respond, if she even wanted to. But she knew one thing. She had moved past Lily's opinions. With her newfound platform, Maya began working on bigger projects. She started a blog where she shared her art and thoughts about identity and self-love. She also partnered with a non-profit organization that supported underprivileged black students in pursuing their creative passions. At school, Maya became a leader. The same students who once ignored her now looked up to her, and even teachers sought her input on how to make the school more inclusive. As Maya stood in her room one evening, sketching ideas for her next big project, her phone buzzed with an email notification. She opened it and gasped. It was an invitation to speak at a national youth conference about diversity and inclusion. Her journey was far from over. It was only just beginning. Months later, Maya stood backstage at a grand auditorium in Washington, D.C., her heart pounding. The email invitation had led her here, the National Youth Conference on Diversity and Inclusion. The stage she was about to step onto wasn't just any stage. It was a platform shared by activists, leaders, and young changemakers from across the country. Maya, you're up in 2 minutes, said a coordinator, gently tapping her shoulder. Maya clutched her note cards, her fingers trembling slightly. She took a deep breath, remembering her grandmother's words. You've got something big inside you. Don't be afraid to let it shine. The announcer's voice echoed through the auditorium. Please welcome Maya Johnson, an extraordinary young artist and activist whose journey has inspired millions to embrace their identity and stand against racism. As the audience erupted into applause, Maya stepped onto the stage, the bright lights warming her face. She adjusted the microphone and looked out at the sea of faces. Hi, my name is Maya Johnson, she began, her voice steady, and I want to tell you a story about how I turned pain into power. Maya recounted the story of her friend's rejection, the sting of their laughter, and the moment she decided to reclaim her identity. She described how her art had become her voice, and how her journey wasn't just about standing up for herself, but about inspiring others to embrace their uniqueness. We all have moments when we feel like we don't belong, she said, her eyes scanning the audience. But I've learned that what makes us different is what makes us powerful. And when we stand in our truth, we can change the world, not just for ourselves, but for everyone around us. As she spoke, Maya could see tears in the eyes of some audience members. She paused, letting the weight of her words settle before continuing. Racism doesn't just hurt. It silences. It tells people like me that we're not good enough. But I refuse to be silent. And I hope you refuse to be silent too. The auditorium was silent for a beat, then erupted into a standing ovation. Maya stood tall, her heart full as she absorbed the energy of the crowd. After the conference, Maya's speech went viral. Clips of her words were shared across social media platforms, with hashtags like I could stand with Maya and My Skin, My Strength trending for weeks. Schools, organizations, and even celebrities reached out to support her message. One day, Maya received a handwritten letter from a young girl in Texas. Dear Maya, I used to hate my skin because kids at school teased me. But when I saw your video, I realized that I'm beautiful just the way I am. Thank you for giving me the courage to love myself. Tears welled in Maya's eyes as she held the letter close. She never imagined her story would touch lives so far away. Despite her growing fame, Maya never forgot where she came from. One afternoon, she was invited back to her school to speak at an assembly. Standing on the same stage where she had once watched others shine, Maya shared her message with a new generation of students. Her former classmates, including Lily and her old group of friends, sat in the audience. Maya's voice never wavered as she told her story, not to shame them, but to show how far she had come. Afterward, Lily approached her once again. Maya, I know I said this before, but I really am sorry. I didn't understand how much I hurt you. This time, Maya nodded. I appreciate that. I hope you've learned to be better. I have, Lily said. Thank you for teaching me. For the first time, Maya felt closure. Maya's art continued to grow alongside her platform. She launched a nationwide project called My Skin, My Story, which partnered with schools to provide resources for students to create art, celebrating their identities. The project culminated in a traveling exhibit that showcased artwork from young people all over the country. Each piece told a unique story, but together, they shared a powerful message. Our diversity is our strength. At the opening of the exhibit, Maya's grandmother stood by her side, tears streaming down her face. "You've made me so proud, baby," she said. "Your light is shining so bright." Maya hugged her tightly, whispering, "I couldn't have done it without you." Years later, Maya stood in her own art studio, surrounded by canvases and sketches. A framed photo of her grandmother sat on her desk, a reminder of the woman who had always believed in her. Her phone buzzed with a new email, an invitation to give a keynote speech at an international diversity summit. Maya smiled, thinking back to the girl she used to be, the girl who once felt small, rejected, and powerless. Now, she was a voice for change, a symbol of resilience, and proof that even the most painful moments can lead to something extraordinary. This story isn't just about Maya, it's about all of us. It's a reminder that no matter how hard life tries to break you, you have the power to rise, to inspire, and to change the world.